Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, and today we're gonna make a really simple character to work with in the Unreal Engine. We're not gonna add any animation or stuff like that, we're just gonna have a base character set up from the real scratch. I made a test level over here, and if you play, this is like the default pawn which kind of moves here and there. So to actually get started with those, we really need to create the input action first. So let's go and create them. We're gonna need 3 of them for now, but we can obviously expand on them. We're gonna need look, and then we're gonna need move, and let's do another one and call it jump. So let's open up the move real quick. So inside the move, we're gonna add a axis 2D vector value. So that's the only thing we need over here. And inside the look, it's gonna be pretty much the same thing because we're gonna need the x and y values for the most part. And then inside the jump one, what we can do is simply make it a digital bool. It's either yes or no, true or false, nothing too fancy. Then we're going to add 2 triggers to it, which are going to be pressed and released. This is not necessary, it can work without it, but it's great to add these in there. So we have the input action set up. Now we're going to create an input mapping context. So this actually tells the player controller what button to use actually. So we're gonna name this default, or sorry about that, my mistake. Yep, so we can have it open it up. Okay, so let's set this up. We can open up jump first. So what we can do inside here is simply give it a trigger, or just simply set up the spacebar as the jump button. So that's really it for the jump. Now we can set up a move maybe. So for the move, we're gonna need 4 buttons to work with. So I'm gonna set up the W first. So the W is gonna have one simple trigger, which is gonna be the swizzle input axis values. So sorry, just one modifier, which is gonna be swizzle input axis values. And we're going to make sure the order is Y, X, and Z. And then similarly, we're going to create another one in here, and we're going to map this to S. And S is also going to be the same thing but negated. So let's add a modifier, swizzle input, and then we add a negation, and we'll make sure the negation is for all 3 axes. And then we can create another one, which is going to be for the left and right movement. Let's add A first. And we can add negation to it. And then let's add D. And the D doesn't really need anything, so we can just leave it like that. Now let's add another input action, which is going to be our look. So for the look, we just need to add a simple modifier, which is going to be for negation. And inside the negation settings, we don't want to negate Y or Z, we're just going to negate the X or Y only. Sorry about that. So with this setup, we can now go and create our character blueprint. But first of all, let's just make a simple game mode. I'll explain later why we're using game mode. So we're gonna just set the simple game mode, and then we can go to blueprint class, character VP. I'm gonna call it my character. So I'm gonna go inside it, go into the mesh, and we can simply assign it this tutorial mesh. It comes built in with the Unreal Engine, so we can just simply use this to actually see what's up, what's not. And then maybe we can add a spring arm component to actually attach the camera to it, so we can see what's up. simply add a spring arm and then select the spring arm, and inside spring arm we can add a camera component. And if we just add a little bit more to over here, another thing that's important over here is to use pawn control rotation for the spring arm, because this is actually going to use the rotation that is going to come from our input. So it's really important that we set that up. So let's get started with the blueprint. It's going to be pretty straightforward and simple. We can get controller first of all, and then we can cast this to player controller, and then we can get enhanced input local player subsystem. We can check for it if this is valid. And if this is valid, we're just going to add a mapping context to it. And over here we're going to select the same mapping context that we just created like a few minutes ago. So this is going to be it for that. And then we can set up our look real quickly. So we're going to look for input action look, and we're going to split the structure to get the x and y values. And then for the x, we're going to add controller yaw input, and we're going to attach this to triggered. Then we're going to get this value and add controller pitch input, and we're going to compile it. And let's go to this game mode now. So inside this game mode, we're going to select our default pawn class as my character, and that's going to be it. And in the world settings, we can probably set the game mode to this one. So we see that nothing really happens for now. Turns out I hadn't really configured the mouse one. And we're simply gonna add a modifier for negation, and inside that we're only going to negate the y value. So let's give it a test. Yep, that actually starts working now. Okay, now the only thing left is the actual movement itself. That's also pretty simple, not too complicated. So what we're going to do is then search for IA move. We're going to do the similar stuff for this one, and let's get controller rotation first, and let's break it. Then let's get a right vector. Let's also break it and connect these two inside here, and then add a movement input. Connect this into the world direction, and for the scale value we're going to take the x. Now I'm going to do it this way, but this is also how the Epic does it, but for some reason it sometimes causes some issues, which I'm going to highlight shortly what happens and how to fix it. So, and in the similar fashion, what we're going to do is again get the controller rotation. We're going to split the plane structure, then we're going to get a forward vector, and we're going to split it, and we're only going to connect the z-axis in here. We're going to copy this node and paste it over here, and we're going to plug this into the world direction, and then we're going to give this one into the y value. So let's see what happens. And it's working as intended. So what happens sometimes is that the player actually moves left and right with W and S, and moves to front and back with A and D. So the thing to fix it is to just swap the X and Y value out. You can give X to this one and Y to that one, and flip them around so it actually starts working the way we're intended. Okay, so the last thing is left, which is jump. So we're gonna just implement that real quickly. And this is IA jump, and we're gonna call the simple event jump. And when it's completed, we're gonna call stop jumping. There you go. The simple basic character setup is done. And if we want to, let's say, increase the jump velocity or height, we can just mess with this value. It's 4.2 meters per second. Let's take it to 10. That's probably going to be crazy, but you see we can jump a lot higher now. So you can play around with those values. And this is going to be it. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe.